out with the hello and welcome back to SF1. We finally got where we wanted to be. Q1 is underway now with a sufficient amount of drivers to take part. 17 drivers this time round. Sorry about the delay we've got there.
There is only 16.
There is only 16. I was wondering what you were doing in there.
I'm actually in a car.
Give us a tour of the track.
I'll do this track as well.
Got a bit caught up there in the wrong place.
We got a bit too trigger happy.
What happened when a driver turns commentator? Heads to the garage instead of the commentary box.
I'll do all three this
So
weekend.
a genuine fight now to get through to Q2. For one at least. Trying to see who's first on track.
I think the first person is on the plane. Actually, tell hell. Around the
yeah, I think it may well be Tell Hell coming into the final corner now. Followed very hastily by his teammate, I believe that is. Of Blaze. So I'll have a look and see what Tell Hell can set as a base time for us.
Maybe they're giving each other a tour.
Looking nice and tidy at the moment. Blaze Roycall's getting very close to the back of him. He's gonna get slowed up just a little bit there. Plenty of time remaining. But Tell Hell guiding his teammate through, and there's the dirty air for you as Blaze just couldn't hold on. Jugster, 106.2. Basic time that Lonely Plains set actually in the previous one. A little bit slower than Jugster's best.
F1 Tom.
F1 Tom's put in a 106 dead. That's very nice. We know that Jugster can do a 5.8 at least on those tyres, as we saw in the initial Q1 phase. Tell Hell actually putting in a 108 there. Lonely Plains a 107, Seth a 107.1. Some quite chunky gaps there between the drivers, but I'm sure that'll all tidy up towards the end of Q3.
Moore's doing a bit of off-roading at the moment.
Spectre is exiting the pits now. Oh, that was very, very close to wiping out on the exit of the pits there. Got Cardinal in the end of Sector 2, coming into Sector 3 now. We go into these fast final corners on the throttle. There we go. Beautiful stuff. Good enough for fourth that lap. SF1 Cardinal in the Force India. It's a 106.3. A few tenths off the leaders, but not too bad at all. We can see now, even after just a few seconds of the initial times being set, everyone's pretty close together. That's the top 7 within a second of each other. Brilliant stuff. We'll have a look to see who else is on a lap. We've got Druid starting a lap. Bob the Flop coming to the final 2 corners here. Ooh, scrubbing a lot of speed, bit of understeer. Cuts the corner nicely. A bit late on the throttle. Open up that DRS. Across the line. It's good enough for 6th. So 106.3 again, so there's a lot of people within that 106.2, 106.3, 106.4
the Samurai,
area.
First to break the 1 minute 5.
Oh, pops it in with a 105.8. Very fast for Q1. On the ultra softs, of course, everyone's going to be using that softer tyre. Cardinal puts us in a 105.9, so just a tenth down. a little over a tenth down. Let's see who else is looking to better their lap. Blaze here is coming around the final corners. Yeah, it looks like he's on a lap. It's looking a little bit sluggish though as he exits the final corner already on a 105. A bit late, 107.8. He's got a lap time in at least. And retires on track, which is going to be a penalty, I'm afraid. Spectra puts in a 106.4, but it was invalidated, so unfortunately he's going to have to go around and try again. Samurai in the pits. Cardinal is on track. I'll have a look and see what he can do. He's put in a 105.9. I'd say he's coming into the pits this time round. Yep. Bob the Flop in the pits. Goomba's out of fuel. Only Planes in the pits. Tellhell into the pits. Spectre now the only driver on track. And I actually genuinely don't think anyone's trying for a lap there. So no one actually on track and trying for a lap now. So as it stands, there's a Q1. What do you take from that? 11 minutes left, and we've already got a nice tight qualifying.
Yeah, he's looking pretty good. Obviously, neglecting Kakashi decided not to set a time. I mean, one of them needs to. Well, one. Spectre needs to set a time at least.
Yeah, he's the only one really that can out of them, so he's definitely going to want to try and jump in front. All he needs to do is set a time, so it doesn't actually need to be anything fast. Just something. And that's a majority of the drivers dropping out of Q1. So Spectre managed to put a lap time in. It's a 105.8. So very competitive. Puts him in second. Pushes Cardinal down. Yeah. So he's definitely got the pace. Good thing he managed to get that lap in. He can call it quits now if he wants. And that'll be basically everyone through. Neglects Kakashi and Solex, who is actually commentating. Don't pay any attention to his name there. Neglects and Kakashi. Kakashi, one of the regulars of not finishing, or not even starting qualifying really, never sets a lap, just seems to punch in the racing when it comes to it. Neglects, didn't manage to get anything in either, and Spectre's just retired on track as well. That's another one I've caught on camera, so that unfortunately is also going to be a penalty. I'm not sure whether it will really, because obviously no one else was on track at all. So you've got to take into consideration whether it affected other drivers, but it is against the rules in SF1 to retire on track. So just waiting for Druids to retire, and we should be on our way. And there we go, Druids retired. So Q1 saw some very close times. Very close top 5, I must say. Samurai on pole for the moment. Spectre putting in a great 105.8, and SF1 Cardinal 105.9. So the top 3, the only people really making it into that 105 mark. Druids, F1 Tom, Jugster, the reigning leading championship leader at the moment. Just nowhere really for the moment, but it is Q1, so don't take too much away from that. Bob the Flop, SF1 Gumba, Seth, and SF1 Mo take up your top 10 for the moment. It's Q1. Dropped out is Kakashi, I believe it was Kakashi.
It was, yeah. I don't think he.
It was Kakashi.
I don't think he realised
Lex
he
will
needed
get
to set a
another
time.
chance. It seems to have clouded up a little bit, but here we go for Q2. 15 minutes of flat out time trial, basically. Everyone's going to want to stick on the tyres they want to start on. So the tyres that they use in this session, they will be starting on in the race. So you've got to take into consideration race strategy when looking at what tyres each driver's using. So let's see who's first. Oh, it's a race between the McLaren of Jugster and Haas of Neglects out of the pits there. So both of them wanting to come out quickly, get a lap time in.
Both very eager.
Lighting up the rear end as they exit the pits there. And who's that? Is that Cardinal behind them, following them out? No, it's Gumba. Pink Force India. Cardinal and Gumba are definitely 2 drivers to look out for this race, especially Cardinal. We haven't quite seen Gumba's spectacular performance yet, but I'm sure we'll see something soon. And yet again, Cardinal, I think, sitting pretty in 3rd or 2nd in a championship. I'll double check that for you and update you, but a championship fighter nonetheless. So Jugster, your championship leader with 160 points in the bag. Cardinal is 2nd position for the moment, but he is only on 103, 57 points behind your leader of Jugster. So it's very interesting that Jugster's, with all the wins he's had and the dominant performances, he's really managed to extend that gap severely over the past few races. It's 57 points. Even for the rest of the championship, is not going to be easy to grab. So Mo on 61 points in 3rd position. He's a further 42 points down on Cardinal. So the top 3 positions aren't very close, but that 3rd position is really could be anyone's bag, because you've got Gumba with 59 points, just 2 points down on Mo. Druids a further 8 points down, just 51 points. So it's quite tight for 3rd position, but Jugster and Cardinal are going to want to try and narrow that gap down. Cardinal's at least going to want to do that to form some sort of attack on the championship leader. The championship update. We're watching Gumba as he rounds the final corner now. Jugster puts in a 105.8 and Gumba puts in a 106.6. Jugster, note that he's on the super soft tyres there with a 105.8, so that is a ridiculously fast time. It'll be interesting to see if anyone else can actually challenge that, because that's a very, very fast time on the supers for a GP3 driver. Neglects on the ultra softs with a 105.9, so even he can't really compete with that time. Everyone posting lap times on the supers and the ultras, and Mo on the softs, but no one getting close on those supers to what Jugster's got. See who else is on a lap as Druid exits the pits. Kimi Räikkönen reaching the brow of the hill now to the hairpin on the throttle, nice and neat, opens that DRS and passes Bob the Flop, who lets him through. We're going to see anyone else posting some fast lap times. We'll stick on with Kimi Räikkönen, see what he can do. He's on the new supers. Druid's on his outlap on softs.
It'd be interesting to see what time he sets on the softs.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got Mo on a 107.4 on the
Yeah.
softs, the fastest so far. Ooh, a lot of understeer there for Kimi Raikkonen. Comes into the final corner. What can he do? Opens that DRS, but it's only good enough for 10th. It's 107.9 on the super softs. Make that 11th. Only Plains sticks in a 107.4 on the supers again. Druids, let's see what he can do on the softs. He's coming round to start a lap as he comes into the final corner. Cardinal still in the pits. Spectra, he was a very fast driver in Q1. See what he could do. He's going out on the ultra softs. So interesting. That would suggest that he has 2 sets of ultras available. I'm not sure, but I know that some drivers will have either 1 or 2 sets of ultras depending on what tyre strategy they chose at the beginning of the session. Opens up DRS, starts his flying lap. No one's quite able to challenge Jugster at the moment though. Even on those ultras. Spectre getting a lot of oversteer out of that hairpin. Very easy to light up the back end and lose all the traction that you so desperately want to hold on to get a good exit. Very wide again. But it's really pushing the car. Cardinal's still in the pits. He's waiting for a sort of late run. Do remember that your fastest lap and your tyre.
106.9 for Druid on the soft tyres.
Not a bad lap time at all. Very, very competitive. It gets him into the top 10 at least. But all you need to do is get in the top 10. Doesn't matter what tyre. Obviously, it's your preference for what you want to start on. But don't note the tyres. Just note whether they get into top 10 or not is the big question. Be interesting. I would have been thinking that Jugster with that pace would have wanted to start on the hardest possible tyre, but he's chosen the supers, the medium compound. Spectre put in a 106.3 with those ultras. It's not particularly fast, but again, they only need to get through to the top 10. So Spectre puts that ultra soft tyres with a 105.4. Only 4/10 faster than Jugster, who's on the slightly harder compound, but Spectre managed to put it on pole for Q2. It's a nice place to be, especially when you're worrying about everyone else going quicker and possibly pushing someone out of Q2, out of the top 10. Losing the possibility to get into Q3. Jugster, Neglects and Blaze Recall seem pretty confident. They've all retired from the session. Spectre into the pits. Kimi Raikkonen. Telhill on a lap. F1 Tom. He's currently sitting in 9th position.
I think he can do better than that.
Well, this is time to shine as he Falls, oh, into the pits. Yeah, it was looking relatively fast there, but chose against it. That could have accidentally given Seth a time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, but I think he got away with it. That could have been very interesting. So Seth didn't get anything for that. Was on the track. So Telhel and Kimi Räikkönen are the only people on track. Here's Kimi, final corner. On the throttle, open the DRS and see what he can do. He can't go any faster. It was a 108.2 that lap. Spectre's retired in the pits, thankfully. Cardinal notably still in the pits. Oh, as I say that, hits an outlap. So just having a look at Telhel. He's coming on down the final straight, pitching a 107.1. Couldn't go faster that time round. Telhel and Kimi both unable to better their lap time. What do we think Cardinal's going to do then?
I think he's just waiting, isn't he? He's, I mean, it's going to be top 10 at least.
So that's a very good guess. Well done.
Oh, he's left the session though. He's left the session.
He has just left us. I did get a lot of lag from him just there.
Yeah.
And then yes, he's left the session. So oh,
maybe he's not going to get top
it's
10.
not going to be very nice for Cardinal. You cursed him there with the commentator's curse on Cardinal, you evil man. Hopefully Cardinal can get in. If you're able to send him an invite to try and get him back in. If he's not already got back in, that'd be great. Seth's retired, so everyone's sort of retiring now. Everyone who's confident. Seth teetering on 10th there though, so anything could happen. 3.5 minutes left in the session. Cardinal's got to try and get back in.
I mean, I think if SF1 more decided to put some super soft tyres on, he'd probably get into the top 10.
Oh yeah, it's definitely doable. Definitely doable. Just trying to get... I think Cardinal's actually managed to get back in. I'll send him a game invite nonetheless. Just try and get him back in. But we are back with the driving. Lonely Plains taking a very awkward line to exit the pits there. And Samurai retires.
Kimi retired.
So as it stands... Oh yeah, Kimi's out as well. As it stands, Spectre has the fastest lap. He's used the ultra soft, so that's what he'll be starting on as he's retired from the session. Jugster was fairly close, only 4/10 away, but crucially, he's on those super soft tyres. Very interesting to see the pace that Jugster has in comparison to Spectre. I know that I think it's about 7 or 8 tenths is the suggested difference between the ultras and the supers on the game. So we know there's a few more tenths there, possibly to be eked out by either Spectre or Jugster. Neglect sitting on third as F1 Tom throws it up into fourth, well inside the top 10 with a 105.9 on the ultra softs.
Ultra soft tyres though.
Yeah.
Well, the Plains is on his flying lap.
Cardinal on an outlap again, so he's managed to get back in. Lonely Plains is the man we're watching. Here we go. He's opened the DRS. Nice and smooth. A little bit of an adjustment down the straight there to either his fuel mixture or his ERS. So we turn in for the corner. Nice and easy. On the throttle very easily. Very smooth on the throttle. Braking, turning in. You want to get on the throttle as early as possible without grabbing that understeer, which really pushes you wide. Again with this corner, you can get on the throttle surprisingly early, But if you get it that fraction too early, it's understeering into the gravel really and wide. You scrub a lot of speed. The most tricky corner of the track. Here we go. Keep it in sixth and turn in and just pray that the grip is there. Final corner you can cut very nicely. Be careful of the corner cut though. Open a DRS and across the line for a 107 dead. Puts him in ninth, so he's in the top 10. He's only got one place buffer, and it looks like he's going. Yeah, no, he's not. It's not open the DRS. Good lap for Lonely Plains. He's in the ultra soft, so he's looking a little bit off the pace in comparison to the others. But crucially, he's managed to get into the top 10. So beautiful stuff from Lonely Plains. Now, who else can do what else?
Well, we got
Cardinal.
Yeah, and Bob the Flop.
Here he comes. Bob the Flop's just ahead of him, so we'll grab him first. Into the final corner on the throttle. Across the line, it's a 107, and Cardinal hits in sixth with a 106.2. And that, he's got enough time for one more lap if he wants to go again, which he is. He's opened that DRS, he's in hot lap mode, he's trying to go faster. Doesn't need to, but his ego's taken over by the looks of it. Qualifying is over, 2 minutes 40 seconds to complete your lap. Hopefully that should be enough. And we'll just watch Bob the Flop and Cardinal as they finish their remaining laps of Q2. Bob the Flop's going to be the one to watch because he wants to get in to the top 10. He's sitting in 14th currently. And pulling away from Cardinal, if you can see on the screen. So, fellow Renault driver, just got to better his time a little bit. Here's the tricky corner. You've got to take as much speed without losing the back end, which is exactly what he's done. And that has gone terribly wrong. Oh, straight across Cardinal, which could have put him off quite badly. That is unfortunate. It's a 105.6. Brilliant stuff from Cardinal on the super softs as well. So finally someone has held a candle to Jugster, and it is a big candle, let me tell you. 2/10 faster than Jugster on those super softs, and crucially just 2/10 behind the pole sitter on the ultra softs. Brilliant Q2 for us today. Jugster doesn't look quite as confident as he normally is. Spectra taking pole position on the ultra softs with a 105.4. Cardinal follows him in second with a 105.6. Jugster third, 105.8. Fourth gives you Neglexa, 105.9 on the ultras. Tom in fifth with a 105.9 again on the ultras. Blaze Recoil, the Samurai, Druid, SF1 Goomba, and Seth 2005 are your Q3 drivers. What are your thoughts on that then? It's looking quite exciting for the race.
Very tasty, yeah, especially with the different tyre compounds.
Yeah.
An interesting fight.
Definitely. It's all or nothing this round though. There's no tyres to think about. So, not podium positions, top three
I think
predictions?
top three is going to be Cardinal pole, Jugster second, and F1 Tom third.
Oh, interesting. So Cardinal, Jugster, and F1 Tom.
I mean,
I
I'm
think
probably
that's
doing massively wrong. It could be Gumba, Blaze, and the Samurai.
it could be. Definitely.
But yeah.
Could be. If you are watching and you've got a hunch, feel free to let us know what your thoughts are on the podium positions for the Austrian GP3 race. Jugster and Cardinal both looking very, very fast. Cardinal, after a little bit of a scare, didn't manage to do a lap. He glitched out and disconnected, so it was a little bit nail-biting for him to get back into the session with just 3 minutes remaining, but he managed to do so and beat Jugster on the super softs, which we didn't think anyone could do. My stream chat is disconnected for some reason. I'll hand you over to Solex for just a few minutes as I try and sort out
So, we've got Jugster. He's the first one to be doing a hot lap. Oh, Blaze Recall. Seems to have hit the wall. Jugster's come around the last few bends, I believe. No, he's not. You know what I mean? And Big's just about to start his hot lap. Oh, it's a 105.4. Not a bad little benchmark. We'll be that right. I do believe it's going to be the Samurai. Oh, before Tom takes the 106.1. Samurai was next. Crosses the line, goes second, 105.9. Neglect. Number 106, dead. Really crossing the line. Goes second, the 105.5. Cardinal around the last few corners. On your third. Oh, Samurai. Like gardening. Big gravel. I think Blazer's coming around last corner. Time is good. Oh no. Invalidated. So far we have got Jugster, Druid and SF1 Cardinal. Samurai
Right,
4.
that is sorted. SF1 is back online in the chat.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Is that Jugster back out? It is.
Looks like it is. It's a quick splash and dash. Spectre yet to stick a lap in, and he goes very deep into the hairpin.
He's had a hot lap though, I do believe.
People saying, sort your mic out please mate. Yes, so wonky the mic. Unfortunately I don't know what that means. I have to be a little bit more specific than that. But if you let me know, then I will do what I can to sort out whoever's mic is dodgy.
Possibly mine.
I'm sure they'll let us know when we can sort it out. Well, yours sounds perfect to me as well, so. If you are experiencing problems, let us know. We'll sort that out as soon as we can.
Spectre goes third with a 105.7.
Yeah, not too bad at all.
Yes.
Cardinal's actually sitting down in fourth with a 105.7. Now we know he can go faster than that because he did a 105.6 on the super softs, and he's now on the ultras. So I think it may have been sandbagging ever so slightly. SF1 Cardinal says this game or Xbox is garbage. So I'm not sure what's happened there, if he's possibly been lost from the session again. So just looking, Neglects and Blaze Recall are yet to set a lap, and I'm just watching Neglects as he comes up the hill. DRS open. He's going to try and set a fast lap.
Drugstore just come around the last 2 corners. Is he going to alter his time?
He can do.
Any better?
Looking very quick. Oh, 105 dead. Oh, that is a very, very fast lap time.
That's the gauntlet down.
Can only see maybe 2 or 3 drivers that could even hold a candle to that time. But we'll see. Cardinal's been very fast. Plenty of time remaining in the session. So I haven't heard anything else from the guys that had an issue with the mic, so hopefully everything's alright. But do let us know again, because we would like to streamline our service as much as possible. Make it as nice for you guys to use as you can. Thank you to all the viewers that are there. I'd just like to point out we have the Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook icons you can click on if you want to find out more. Feel free to have a browse through our channels and our page. We do welcome anyone. As long as you're on an Xbox and you like racing F1 rather well, you can set a lap time, and if you're quick enough, you're very welcome to join us. We race Fridays with the GP3, Saturdays is GP2, and Sundays GP1. We run a Classic League and a Performance League, so there's plenty of racing for everyone. 3 minutes remaining to Q3, however. Things are looking fairly tight at the top end there.
Well, from second down, really it's pretty tight.
Yeah. Oh, Blaze Recall has just retired on track.
Yeah, enough.
It's not nice to see again. That got in the way of Samurai quite severely there as well. But here's Samurai. I think he's heading into the pits this time round. Yep. Nothing much to do for him. Gumba's spun it.
Spectre's coming on the last corner.
I'm not sure what turn that is. Yep, Spectre. Final corner, and
does look better his time.
Line to start a lap. I think he may have been on yeah, it was on an out lap. So he's just starting a lap now. Cardinal's still in the pits, so he's wanting to wait till obviously the very, very final few seconds. Perfect lap time. He said, mate, the second guy's mic sounds bad. No. Okay, so it's your mic, but I don't know what's wrong with it just yet. So.
Well, if you can hear me alright,
Yeah, I can hear you fine. There's a little bit of static behind it, but
oh, Tom's let me down.
Oh no. He has. He's a gunner on track, might I add. Not allowed to retire on track. It is unfair towards the other drivers if you whip up a yellow flag or something and could invalidate the lap.
Spectre better time by 3/10.
Yeah. And that was Tom's AI getting off the track there, at the way of Gumba. Spectre's a better time, but he's still 4/10, nearly half a second off Jugster. That's a massive gap. I mean, that would be top 5 in GP2 sort of time. So it's going to be difficult for anyone else really to attack Jugster. I'm looking directly at Cardinal to see if he could do it, but he's sitting pretty in the pits. I think he may have connection issues at the moment. We'll watch his teammate Gumba as he rounds the final corner already on a 106, so it's looking a fairly slow lap time, and it is. So 108.9. Not much ado for Gumba. That's his trial over. Neglects exits the pits. with just 30 seconds remaining in the session. I don't think that was a well-timed strategy. And of course, Cardinal is not going to be able to better his lap time, as Wayne says bad equals understate. You're not helping out, you're just telling us it's bad. If you let us know how it's bad, then we can try and sort out the problem. But just saying bad and mocking us isn't going to help, I'm afraid, lads. So if you let us know what is wrong with the mic and why it is bad, then we can sort that out for you happily. Cardinal not going to be able to make your pole position as cool. Jugster's looking pretty special on pole, as he goes very wide, almost wipes himself out. That could have been him out of Q3 and down to the back there, but just about gets away with it and still opens up DRS. It's all down to Spectre, really. Spectre just binned it. Spectre's just binned it. That's not nice to see. A little bit too much of the rumble strip coming out of that fast sort of S's into the final corners, and he's just pirouetted into the gravel.
Oh, qualifying finished. It's going to be a long way back from Gumba with no fuel.
Yeah, it's not the nicest place to be. Besides Spectre, that is everyone through, and that is your Q3. Jugster starting on the super softs in pole position by a whopping 4 tenths. A massive gap between pole and second. They've let us know, finally, it's static. So there's a lot of static, I think. Have you got TV on in the background or something like that?
No, well it is, but it's gone quiet. Well, mute. I can try and sit still.
So, Jugster takes pole, Spectra taking second, and Druid, your third place sitter at the moment. It's 105 dead for the pole sitter. Second place, only good enough for 105.4. Third, a 105.5. So quite close from second downwards.
From second
otherwise,
until
Jugster just
8th, I think it was. Less than a second.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Nice and tight there. It's just Jugster that seems to be pulling away and may well extend his championship gap. We will go on to a 5-minute break for the drivers to get their setup strategy, everything sorted. Meanwhile, I'll quickly try and sort this static issue out. Feel free to go and have a cigarette or a drink or make a tea, whatever you want to do. Racing will resume very shortly. Sometimes even shorter due to drivers readying up early, but hopefully that won't happen this time round. Ryan Frick 97 says survive the first lap. That is always a good way to start the race.
I think that's going to be the key in this first lap. Surviving that
first. It's a difficult first lap, isn't it? It's very narrow. A lot of sweeping corners as well that can fill people with better confidence that isn't there on the first lap. You try and make a move that in other conditions would work out perfectly, but it gives you sometimes a little bit of false hope that your car can get places it can't. For instance, around the outside, the final 2 corners can often throw up a little bit of an issue. especially with such a heavy car. Braking into the first corner, we have to be really careful. Very, very easy to wipe out the entire grid from just a small mistake. We've seen a couple times in the real Formula One, but several times on. I think if you have the game, you've seen it on a multiplayer race. It's you've got Jimmy Durmaz 21 saying go on Spectra. Brilliant stuff. SF1 Cardinal, touch and go for me condition wise. So a bit of an insight from our 4th place starter. I think it was 4th for Cardinal. Wayne, nice, good race everybody. That was qualifying, but I'm sure you're wishing people a good race. So for all you drivers that are watching, of which I think there are a couple, if you could let us know. I think there's someone said it was a dry race. Is it definite dry? Because we were told dry for France last time.
I do believe it is dry. One second, I can tell you.
Beautiful stuff.
Yep, it's dry all the way through.
Wonderful. Ryan Fricks has a little bit of cloud, so maybe dry, but the track maybe a little bit cooler than usual. A lot of people don't sort of, well, they don't, obviously they realise, but a lot of people don't really think quite that. They just think wet or dry. There's degrees of dryness, there's degrees of wetness. It can actually affect your race massively, your tyre wear. If you've got a completely clear race, your tyre wear is going to be a lot higher than a half completely clear and half overcast race, just because of tyre temperatures, track conditions, track temperatures, etc., etc. It's not massive, but the difference is there. So all these sort of factors you have to take into consideration when you're setting up your race strategy. See exactly what the weather's going to do. Sometimes, of course, there's keen streams. It said it's a dry all race, but it's F1, so don't hold your breath. I agree with that. I had a France race last weekend, not with this not in this group, but in a different one, and it said it was entirely dry in qualifying, and then in the race at the beginning it said it was entirely dry with a tiny hint of rain right at the end. We got about a quarter of the way into the race and it started absolutely melting it down. So you can't really go off what the game says too reliably. It can be quite difficult to guess. Cardinal says dry with the chance of meatballs. Great joke. So we should be heading out on track right about now. There we go. Solex is readied up. Thank you.
Okay.
That driver starting from the back, yeah. Go at it with the pad. You can give us a commentary from the back.
Oh, yeah, very good actually. Let's do this.
And I've crashed into them. I've taken out the pole sitter. So everyone readying up now.
So I will be taking it steady around the first corner.
15 or 20 minutes late, so it will be about quarter to 11 probably finish time. A little bit late. Hopefully I'll make it to the end of the stream. So formation lap. Kakasha gets disqualified from formation. Seth and Tom also not appearing in the formation lap. And there's Solex
I've got a driving
Actually
test.
warming up his tyres.
You never know.
Solex, of course, is the co-commentator with us today.
I will be retiring. I'll be driving around the first lap and then entering the pits to avoid any safety car incidents.
Yep, so Solex will be starting the race, but don't worry, he will be heading into the pits at the end of the first lap. It'll be very easy. I'd like to say he won't try anything into the first corner.
I will definitely not try anything for the first quarter.
No, but he'll definitely be able to give us a nice view on what's actually happening in any context. So that'd be good to hear from you. I'll keep the talking to you a little bit of a minimum for the first lap, so you can help us out. A never before seen angle from.
It is. It's a SF1 first.
Yeah. Seth just letting us know that Tom had some lagging issues, so he's not going to get a penalty for being mean on the formation lap as they line up. Here we go, final driver. 4 lights, 5 lights. Away we go. Jugster gets off to a very good start, but Spectre is right there. Cardinal falling back a little bit, gets swamped by Blaze Recoil. Spectre almost staying in second, but just loses out a little bit to Druid, who gets up into second position, and Jugster pulling away there. What's it like at the back?
Kakashi seems to have pulled over and stopped for some reason, fighting hard into the second corner.
Oh, there's a bit of contact between the Renault and the Willow and the Williams of Lone. No, that's Bob the Flop and Kimi Räikkönen coming together. That's actually sending. You're probably getting a bit caught up with everyone there.
I'm doing my best.
Kimi Räikkönen gets sent all the way back by Bob the Flop, who hit the side of him. Kakashi going very wide. Seth going wide. Oh, it's a lot of contact at the back of the grid there today. And the Samurai goes into the. Oh, goodness! What is going on?
Samurai's left the
What
session.
is going on? Wow, okay, so that was a hectic start from the rear.
Absolute carnage.
Solex actually isn't last. We head
Yay!
to the final lap. Jugster's leading. Druid is only 9/10 behind him. We'll make that a second. And again, Blaze Recoil. Blaze Recoil coming from nowhere. We probably haven't really even mentioned him all race and all stream, and he's there in 3rd place, and he's not budging. Getting within that 1 second. Druid staying within 1 second of Jugster as well, but you got to remember Jugster's on the super soft tyres.
Right, back to commentating from the front.
Druid and Blaze Recoil also on the super soft as well. Okay, so they've got genuine pace there. Druid has genuine pace and is sticking with Jugster. It might not be a flat out or an easy win for Druid, for Jugster this time round. Spectre takes Blaze for 3rd position. Blaze holds on. He's sort of been pushed offline a little bit and lost a bit of space. He's now getting sort of pressured by Cardinal and Tom, who are quite close together. Gumba's there, so Force India 5th and 7th.
Spectre went a bit wide for the
Lex in
first
the
corner.
house. That's
Gumba
given Blaze a chance to sort of approach again. Druid's getting very close to the back of Jugster.
Blaze,
And that's DRS open. Blaze moves back up to 3rd. DRS
he can hit Spectre from behind, which knocked him wide.
Little bit of a love tap, was it?
Yeah. Oh, I get a feeling there's going to be a couple of clips from that one.
Yeah, well, quite possibly, but hopefully no damage to either cars, and Spectre may well be able to squeeze back past Blaze Recoil. But they don't want to fight too much because the leaders are just going to pull away. They're only a couple seconds down the road. Oh, goodness. That came from nowhere. They're only a couple seconds down the road, so it's going to be difficult.
Spectre with DRS. It'll be interesting going into the second corner on Blaze.
It's a very difficult place to overtake down. Oh
He's
no,
open,
sorry,
gone
wrong
for
part of
it.
the track. This is a very
Oh,
easy place to overtake. But
It's,
also very easy to overcook it.
and it does.
As he's done so, Blaze sneaking straight back down the inside, taking third again. Druids, crucially, is not budging from that 1 second gap to Jugster. Bit of fighting going on for 10th place between Telhill, Kimi Raikkonen and Kakashi. They're all together. Bob the Flop's not too far down the road. Two Force Indias of Cardinal and Gumba now are fighting as F1 Tom has passed Gumba and is pulling away. Now just 6/10 behind Spectra, so he's coming in for that third place battle, which is going to be great to watch. Spectra gets a 3-second time penalty, pushing a little bit too hard to the final sectors, but it's DRS open. Has he got enough? Don't think he quite had the drive out of that final corner to get anything done there. Another chart.
Kimi's quite close.
Side by side. To the hairpin, side by side. Can they do anything? This time, Spectra doesn't overcook it, but F1 Tom has come with the undercut on Blaze as he was a little bit too preoccupied with defending from Spectra, but he's got it back. Tom couldn't quite make anything. It's almost 3 abreast now. Tom is trying to take advantage of this fighting, really sticking his nose in. Tucking in behind Spectra, who's lost out again. Blaze Recoil. That was a bit of a cut across. Blaze Recoil coming out on top. But this is bringing Cardinal and Gumba.
Blaze loses
Oh no, Blaze has lost it.
as well.
And retired. Oh dear. Yeah, that's end gone, I'm afraid. So Blaze Recoil just a little bit too much. Didn't quite see what. I wonder if there was any contact or anything. I was just switching cameras.
I don't think there was any contact. What happened was, as he put out the corner, I think he got a bit too much turn, and he just lost control of the car.
Just a little bit too much on the old curbing. So that has moved the fight to Spectra, F1 Tom and Cardinal. All three of them in with a chance for podium position here. We've just got to keep it clean and fast. Almost 6 seconds. Oh, that's a bit of an advantageous lunge by Cardinal, but he thinks better of it. F1 Tom saw him coming, which is the important bit there. Lap 6 of 36. Blaze Roycall and SF1 Solex, of course, who is commentating with us. Blaze Roycall actually DNF'd, the only DNF so far, and it was one of the leaders. Fighting between this three, Spectra, F1 Tom and Cardinal, who's actually falling back just a little bit. Maybe it's a plan. Something up his sleeve as Neglects is getting fairly close to the back of Bob the Flop as we head onto the main straight.
First corner. Gets past him.
Tom stays ahead for now, but there's another DRS zone for Spectra. And of course for Cardinal.
Yeah, he's Cardinal.
Yeah, I think Spectra's going to be a bit preoccupied with Cardinal really, but they seem to have the overspeed on Tom, but it's not enough this time round. Tom was very clinical about what he did behind those drivers. He didn't get into any action really too much. He stayed nice and clean. He stayed behind him and then saw the opportunity and took it quite quickly and got away. You didn't see him getting caught up in anything, not a lock-up, no nothing. So I expect to see F1 Tom pull away. And
I think the crucial thing is that the F1 Tom and Spectre are both on ultra soft tyres. So Cardinal just really needs to just sit behind them for a little bit, I guess.
Yeah. It's a big part of it. The problem is, he's the two leaders are on super softs as well. So he's seeing as he's got the pace. I know these two are fighting. If he can find a gap, or those two scuffle a bit too much and make a gap, he's gonna want to slip past and try and try and make the opportunity work to get away. As he's just done so, just as I speak.
Bit of a spin.
Tom had a bit of an accident, but see, if Tom's still within the 1 second, he's going to be back and biting at Cardinal's heels on those ultra softs. I mean, they're not going to last too many more laps, I wouldn't have thought. They'll start dropping, but Cardinal's going to want to get out of that sandwich as quickly as possible because it is going to be losing him time.
Decides not to pit though. F1 Tom.
Not this time round. He's definitely got the confidence in the car. He's definitely got the confidence in the speed, but this Kashi retires. Just our second retirement. My F1 Tom gets a 3-second time penalty. Telhel getting pretty close to the back of Kimi Raikkonen. Though as I say that, it just drops out of DRS. Not really close enough there. So we'll head back to the fight for third position. Druid is still sticking within that sort of 1 second buffer. It's extended now just a bit to 1.5, but he's really showing what he can do with a brilliant display last round. I believe
in France, yeah. It was unfortunate that he got the 20-second penalty that he didn't claim the victory.
Yeah, of course. And again, Canada, I believe he did very well.
Yeah.
Jude come from nowhere to win.
Cardinal up to second.
Oh wow! So there you go.
Jugs the pits.
Jugster's in the pits. Phil Softs. Already out of the pits as well, so he's trying the undercut to try and pull a gap on Druid, but what is Druid going to do? Is he going to try and do 20 odd laps now on the softs? Because if I was Druid, I'd be going to lap 12, 13 maybe, trying to keep things as fresh as I can for my final stint.
Yeah, I mean, if his tyres are still pretty strong and he's still staying similar sort of safety times, I'd stay out. Oh, no, Druid's in. He pits.
Druid's in, so I think he's just reacting instinctively from instinctively from Jugster. I think had the lap not been so short, if you had a little bit more time just to think about it, it probably wouldn't have been the worst decision to stay out. Like Cardinals done, oh my goodness. Like Cardinals done, I think it's the best decision right now to stay out a couple more laps.
He beats Jugster out though. Jugster beats him out.
There you go. Well, he's stayed ahead. He's actually
he's actually 2 seconds. Yeah.
So, Jugster knowing something we didn't is that the super softs quite obviously must have been switching off quite rapidly by the looks of it. So it makes me wonder what F1 Tom is doing with those ultra softs still on the car. Is he just trying to compromise and stick with what would have been a super soft sort of strategy? Trying
Gumbo and Druid
but
having a little battle.
Yeah, and there's Bob the Flop as well.
Yeah.
Great helicopter cam. Bob the Flop sticks his nose down the inside, but not quite the place to try and make a move there. He's going to have to wait till the start straight, but well pointed out as there's a fight for fourth position between Druids, Gumba and Bob the Flop. But Druid really doesn't want to get caught up in that because
he doesn't know.
He's trying to catch Jugster.
I think he's lost 2 seconds when he first came out of the pits, and a further 2 seconds battling with Gumba.
Just defending from Gumba, yeah. There's 2 seconds. You can lose 2 seconds in 2 seconds, in less than 2 seconds, but gaining that back can take a whole race.
It's
going to be very difficult. he's gonna have to be consistently a lot faster, at least a few tenths faster for a handful of laps at least. Bob the Flop and Goomba still going at it. Bob's sort of dropped off and slipping into the clutches of Kimi Räikkönen, but crucially Bob is still in DRS. Tell Hell very close to Spectra now.
Yeah, just had the quick look at him on the second DRS. Oh, the second DRS.
Deep there. Only planes with the 3 second. Yeah, but that's the second DRS. It's probably, I think, one of the best DRS zones in the calendar, really. Because obviously it's an uphill rise. It doesn't make the advantage as strong. It sort of levels it out a little bit. So it's still sort of old school racing, but you get that little bit of a boost from the flaps. You still have to try, and pulling the car side by side up that rise can still be difficult with DRS. So it's probably one of my favourite DRS sections in the calendar.
Gumba, Bob and Kimi are all within a second of each other now.
Certainly very close. This would probably be the gap for around 6th, 7th, 8th. Maybe a tiny bit further down. I'd say the fight for 5th or 6th between Gumba, Bob and Kimi Räikkönen.
I think the interesting thing is that Gumba is on the super soft tyres and Bob and Kimi are both on soft. So Gumba's doing really well on those super soft tyres.
Yep, he is. Cardinal as well leading. 13 lap old supers, but Jugster, after also pitting, is only 7 seconds behind Cardinal.
This should be interesting with Gumba, Bob and Kimi. All of them. Ooh. Kimi hit the back of Bob.
Getting very butt clenching there. And that is pulling Spectra in as well.
Yeah, and Tell Hell. Oh, no, yeah.
Overall P3.
Bob takes Gumba.
Takes Bob.
Yeah. But how much damage does Kimi have from hitting back of Bob?
It doesn't look like there's any damage at all from my screen. They are very nose to tail. Gumba to Kimi, Bob to Spectra, nose to tail, and now side by side into that tricky, fast right-hander down into the final corner. You can cut the corner a lot, but don't get a time penalty, either of you. It is almost 4 abreast down the straight, but here we go. 1, 2, 1, and back into single file for the first corner. This is great racing between the 4 drivers. We see it's DRS open everywhere. And is Kimi Räikkönen going to hold on up the hill, or is he going to get swamped by everyone? Kimi Räikkönen just seems to have the pace advantage down the straights to get away from all the DRS that's happening behind him.
And
Bob
as well, I think there's only Spectra out of all of those that's pitted. You've got Bob, Gumba, Kimi.
Spectra's past Bob. Nicely done. It actually round the outside of turn 4. Now he's having a look at Gumba. There's a big speed difference. Gumba on 14 lap old super softs. He's got to be coming in round about this lap.
You'd have thought so. If not this lap.
He's just getting swamped. And is that round the outside? Oh no! Bob makes a massive lunge down between the two of them. That was a silly move. And Bob the Flop, unfortunately, he's got a and rejoining Spectra.
Was that F1 Tom?
No, I don't know what just happened there. I thought we just. That is. Who was that? Oh, that was Lonely Plains. That was Lonely Plains, who's actually a lap down. Yeah, that's Lonely Plains getting out of the way of everyone. I thought that a Jugster or something had been taken out there by the calamities, but
so Druid had to pit.
Panning out to be.
Yeah, I think Druid had to pit again because he's now down in 9th on a fresh set of soft tyres.
Oh, yeah, I
So,
think that
so
has bust up Druid's
yeah,
race as well.
so somewhere in all of that, he's either got damage.
Yeah, something nasty's happened there. It's a shame to see. And Cardinals made his pit stop as well.
Yeah,
Mo, Bob, Telhel, and Kimmy are the only drivers yet to pit. But that is a shame to see Spectre, who's doing so well, actually making a good drive through that pack of cars to get back up to that 3rd position where he was sitting. But unfortunately, Bob just got a little bit too over-ambitious, missed his braking point, or made a silly decision, and it didn't come out quite the way he wanted it to. He's
Spectre's
still
put
sitting in 4th.
Yeah, Spectre put ultra soft tyres on as well, which
We're not going to go to the
no, definitely not. I mean, you'd be lucky to get
think
10 laps out of him.
yeah. Well, I mean, who was it? Somebody did 14 laps on the Ultras. F1 Tom, sorry. Tom did 14 laps on the Ultras.
From the start, yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be close, but it's going to be
Well,
very,
it's still
very
more than
close.
14 laps, isn't it?
Yeah,
I possibly didn't look at his MFD. I don't think it looked at his MFD settings. Possibly a bit of a accident from
bumpers
Spectra.
off.
Yeah, people really starting to lose concentration. Lonely
Yeah.
Plains in the pits, so
Numbers in the
Spectra,
pits.
fastest lap with a 108.4. Gumba and Lonely Plains. Samurai's ghosting for some reason. He's looking to try and catch Lonely Plains. He is way down, so that's
Yeah.
not going to happen.
Well, once Kimmy, Bob, and Tel Hell have all pitted, that'll put F1 Tom into 3rd.
Yeah, F1 Tom doing a very good job, and he's
Yeah.
not even far off that pack either. From Kimmy to Telhel, only a handful of seconds ahead of Tom, and yet to pit, like you say. So after their scuffle has ended, that might push them. But if they keep fighting as well, that might push them a lot further back overall than they were even intending in the first place.
Yeah, because I think it also brings SF1 more into it as well.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah. Who might I say has run? Oh no, Mo's not pit. Oh yeah, yes.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, sorry, yeah.
No, he
Mo's
hasn't.
not fit
No,
either.
Mo's not pit yet either. So he's probably not going to be able to make much happen there, but definitely neglects Tom. Druids there or thereabouts. Could have a look at the top 5. Cardinals not actually managing to pull that gap down to Jogster at all, even on the
Fresher
8 lap
tyres, yeah.
longer softs. In fact, that gap is still slowly increasing. I think it was about 16.9 a few laps ago, so he's losing a little bit of time there.
Yeah, at the minute it's 17.8 behind Jug. So has he stopped for a second already?
Jimmy Dermaz 21 says, "What you doing, Bob? Taking out Spectra." Yeah, unfortunate stuff. Unfortunate dive there. I don't know whether it was just an accident or he thought the gap was there when it wasn't. It's be interesting to see what he says. Seth saying Gumba is out. Gumba's still racing.
Yes,
He's still on
still
track,
good.
Seth. And he's only 7 seconds behind you, so You're in the pit.
Just
Sorry,
sets,
he's past you, Steph.
and he just sets the fastest lap as well.
Steph hasn't got a front wing either.
So he's in the pits.
Kimi Raikkonen in the pits, the first to pit out of that group. So the rest of them are going to try and get some free air and do a quick undercut on him. They're going to have to get about half a second. What can they do? So we'll watch Bob and Telhel. Oh, he's got a 5 second stop go by the looks of it.
No,
Yeah,
I don't think
that's
he
a 5.
No, they changed his tyres.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, well, it looked
Maybe
like
that
they
was a
changed his
clutch
tyres.
release issue he was having. Maybe he missed the clutch release point and it had to reset and he had to keep doing. Oh, so a very slow stop from Kimi Raikkonen, which tell Helen. But oh, who's that off? Druid again into the wall again. So what was looking like a very promising, very good race for Druid turned into a nightmare very, very quickly. Bob would do well to hit the pits now, but he's not. He's going for another lap. Telhel as well, going for another lap. Lonely Plains gets a 10-second time penalty for exceeding track limits.
You've got
Crucially,
SF1
Bob
more.
and Telhel stay out.
Yeah, 21 laps now. That's, but SF1 more is catching Kimi quite quickly.
Oh yeah, rapid rate of knots.
They both pitted together as well, so it'll be an interesting battle to
heading
the
into
end.
the pits now with no front wing. Yeah, but most certainly both on the super soft, exactly the same age tyres. So this is all down to car setup and driving ability. 3 second for Spectra, side by side, and it's a little bit of a lunge, but
yeah, he gets the time penalty for that as well.
Racing. Raikkonen was looking to cut back down the inside into turn 4, but the gap just wasn't quite there. Could have done it, but it would have been a lunge. Mo made his lunge stick, but it was a reasonably safe bet, and he's passed. Bob the Flop in the pits now. So let's see where Kimi Raikkonen is. Kimi Raikkonen is coming around the final 2 corners now. As Bob exits, he's off the pit limiter now. There's Kimi coming onto the final straight. So I think Bob is nice, clear, and away.
He's beating both
Kimi Raikkonen. Yeah, not even Mo could grab him there.
Kimi with another 3 second
3-second time penalty. Oh. He's really pushing to try and stay on the back of SF1 Mo. Telhel still very close to F1 Tom. Tom has made his pit stop, so he will be going to the end of the race. Telhel
still needs to pit. Yeah.
22 laps old soft. He is the last to pit. But I'm sure it must be this time round. Yep, this time Telhel hits the pit, so let's see. Where's Bob the Flop? I'm watching Telhel hits the pit limiter. It's all safe and sound, no penalties there. Here we go. Into pit box, and Kimi Raikkonen is dropping round into the final corner. Telhel with a wing change. So it's going to be a bit slow.
Yeah,
Telhel has been passed. Yeah, he's lost a lot of time to Bob and dropped back behind Kimi Raikkonen as well. He's lost a lot of time on that final lap there. Did he make a mistake? Because they were, like you said, they were all within a second basically of each other.
Yeah, I think what had happened, I think he stayed out a couple of laps too long on those.
Too long.
Yeah. But he can have fresher tyres toward the end of the race.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. But look at the difference. That just a couple laps, or just a lap too long, really, has pushed him so far by. He could have come out in 4th, ahead of Bob the Flop if it really pushed, or behind him. So 4th or 5th, all the way down to 8th. And Spectre, who's had a calamity of a race since that little scuffle earlier on with Bob. He's only about 9 seconds behind with over 10 laps to go. Sounds tasty. Tell Hell gets a 3-second time penalty. Kimi Raikkonen starting to creep back up onto the back of SF1 Mo. Only planes another 3-second. So the penalties are really being dished out. SF1 Cardinal, may I note, has not lost any time since we referred back to him last. Still sitting at a 17.8, 17.9. But crucially, not able to make an advance, and it's going to be very tricky to make 17 seconds in 10 laps. Nonetheless, a very promising performance from Cardinal.
F1 Tom.
Fifth on the grid.
Yeah, another 3-second penalty.
Bob the Flop's only on 3-lap-old supers. Albeit 11 seconds behind F1 Tom, but just thinking at the rate of degradation from those 12-lap-old softs. I know they're the harder compound, but at 12 laps I think you're going to start losing the grip that you would have. And I'd say those super softs are going to be far superior to the...
Yeah, I'm not sure as well. I think F1 Tom has got 2 3-second penalties. And I'm not sure if Bob...
that would...
Yeah, I'm not sure if Bob's got any.
I'd say Bob must have at least one.
If you can have a look.
You'll be able to switch onto the race director, wouldn't you? I just don't want to whip the screen up.
That's right.
Stream. But I was curious to see whether he would have got a penalty at all for that lunge hitting Spectra, because I would have thought the game would give him maybe 5 or 10 seconds even for a contact, or causing an avoidable incident with another driver.
Yeah, he's got 1.
Those neglects is actually getting pulled in to Kimi Raikkonen, so the 2 Haas sandwiching the Williams of Kimi Raikkonen. It'd be nice to see a 5-6 finish from Haas. That'll be a very promising finish. Gumber, another relatively disappointing race this time round. Again, he's in the top 10. He's always managed to sort of appear in the top 10, but we know that he has some proper potential that never really seems to get a chance to show during the racing. Whatever happens, whether it's getting caught up at the start of the race or just having a terrible qualifying, because we know Gumber's got some speed, but he's just...
So I do believe that Tom has 2 penalties and Bob has 1.
Okay, so this could get very interesting towards the end of the race. If be things as they are, if Bob can get within 3 seconds, it could be a podium position for the Renault Bob the Flop, which I'm sure he'd be thrilled with.
Especially after his little dive.
Yeah, well, very surprised he didn't get anything severe for that. Kimi Raikkonen just 3/10 away. Oh, neglects past him, so the 2 has together, and Kimi gets another 3-second time penalties. He must be on a rack of penalties right now.
You just take up most of the racing incidents page.
Yeah. Dr. Neglect's now attempting to catch his teammate of SF1 Mo. He's on slightly newer tyres, 3-lap fresher tyres. Crucially, he's only got about 6 or 7 laps to make things happen. He's 2 seconds away in closing. Interesting, will the two teammates act as teammates, or will they act as league racing drivers and just fight flat out? SF1, sorry, Bob the Flop has brought that 8-second gap down to around 6.7. I don't think it's quite going to be enough at this rate. He's got to get
Yeah, I mean,
second a lap.
He's still catching him. I think the last lap it was, like I say, 8 seconds, and now it's down to 6.6. So if it's a second a lap from now until the end.
Well, then all's fine and dandy. If he can grab that much, he'll be able to catch him. Catching and passing, different things. Even with that penalty, he's still going to want to make the move. He's not necessarily going to be all as clued up as we are on the penalty side of things. As we watch Neglects versus Mo, Druid gets a 5-second stop-go penalty for ignoring blue flags. And you can see, actually, it must have been with Jugster, because Jugster's gap to Cardinal's now come down to about 16 seconds. He's lost a second and a bit. Quite possibly because of that. Who's that going into the pits? Lonely Plains, the Renault, the other Renault, heading into the pits and not looking very comfortable at all.
Bob the Flop
Lonely
is
Plains
now
retired.
only 4.6 seconds behind F1 Tom.
6 seconds. Ruthless. The thing is, he's on super softs and they're coming up to about the 10-lap mark, at which point they are going to start losing a hell of a lot of grip. So he's going to make that those 4 seconds up pretty quickly, because he's going to lose the edge towards the final 3 or 4 laps of the race, I'd say. Those softs tend to stay strong for at least 18 to 20 odd laps.
Well, if that's the case, Tom's also come up to the edge. He's on 17 laps.
Yeah, that is true. And Jugster, of course,
22.
Jugster's actually starting to lose a lot of time. There's no traffic in front of him, but he's starting to lose a bit of time to Cardinal. He's on the fresher of the top 3 tyres. Yeah, Cardinal's starting to reel Jugster in now, but 10 seconds
Bob
is a bit too much.
It's now down to 2 seconds.
Oh, 1.9. This is getting interesting.
I think this is going to be the battle to watch
on the podium. It's
I
definitely.
Is Seth going to be kind to move out of the way?
Seth has to be kind, really. And behind him is Bob the Flop, so he's going to move out the way just after, or just before the hairpin as well, I'd say. Let's just watch to make sure.
Oh,
Can
no!
get through. Oh, no! After
Bob.
all of that, Bob spun it. No! No! So that is Bob back down to 10 seconds. Like I was saying, it was just getting to that point where those tyres are going to start losing, and I think he put the throttle down thinking he had the grip he did last lap, and it just wasn't there. It's 10 seconds. It's with the speed he had, it's still doable to get back into that 3-second gap, but it's going to be a big ask. A big ask indeed, and of course, Mo is now right behind him. All the anticipation for the fight. Unfortunately, wasn't to be this time round.
Yeah. I think the fight now is going to be between Bob and SF1 Mo.
Yeah, Bob's starting to actually lose time to F1 Tom. So even after that, I'd say that was if anything, overheating rear tyres, quite possibly. Pushing that hard and then for them to let go at even that slower point on the track, I think possibly his tyres hit 102, 103 and just let go. Then of course from that point on you've got to nurse the tyres back down to working temperature and then you can get your speed back up, and that can take 2-3 laps of off-pace driving, at which point you're vulnerable. Ran out of fresh rubber, we've got in the chat. Ran out of fresh rubber 10 laps ago.
Mo's got DRS
Mo within
on
a
Bob.
second now, so what was looking like a possible podium position might not even be fourth.
I do know that Mo has got quite a few penalties though.
Just thinking about neglects, I haven't seen his name pop up all too often, and oh no, he's dropped away big time actually from Mo. Last lap he was only a second and a bit away, so might be a safe fifth or safe fourth for Bob, but what definitely could have been a higher finish, most certainly.
Especially because he's got that 10 seconds down to 8 again.
He's down to 7 point something now. Again, he's got a lap and a half to try and get that gap down to 3 seconds again. All it takes is a little mistake from Tom.
Oh, it's going to be close on the last lap between Bob and Mo. Mo goes for it and makes it stick. Oh, no he doesn't. Bob retakes it. Mo make a move on the final DRS straight of this lap. He doesn't. Oh, Mo.
Straight down the inside. And a 3-second time penalty, so that's... Oh, Bob the Flop being very argy-bargy once again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw it, the second to last corner, Mo did something very similar to what Bob's just done there.
Oh, dear. And again, oh dear. That was a lunge and a barge. That was not fair, and that is what happens, and...
I can understand
retired
Bob's,
from the race.
Yeah, I can understand Bob's frustration. Well, I can see his frustration, to be honest, because...
Yeah, there was no need. It's the last race, but there's no need for that sort of fighting. It's just no need, and that's... I think he's got wing damage there because Kimian neglects.
Kimian to fourth.
Yeah, neglects is there as well, and Tellhell there as well. So all the way down to seventh. It's very close. All right in the final lap of the race.
I think
and we're fighting here for fourth position.
Penalties are going to play a big part in this.
Into fifth.
I think Neglect's going to get
got
fourth,
away with everything.
Neglect fourth.
I didn't see what happened so quickly. Was it Tellhell that actually made it to fourth place? Sixth. Neglect gets sixth.
Kimmy seventh.
If you could invite the race, the top three into the party, wonderful. we're just waiting for the top three of Jugster, Cardinal, and Tom to join us. In our party. I've just invited them now. We'll get on to the podium questions. So Jugster taking another dominant win. First position. Cardinal in second position. And F1 Tom taking a storming third. A great appearance from F1 Tom today. Showed us fight really well between Spectra and Bob earlier on in the race before that little bit of a issue with fighting between Bob, but well, right, okay, fair enough. Well, no, that's not the stuff we want to hear. If you got the clips, you can send them on to the what are they called?
Stewards. Myself. Yeah, be sending
Stewards,
to myself.
thank you. Sounds like Stewart. So Cardinals joined us, wonderful. Jugster's there, Tom's there, everyone's here, wonderful. So F1 Tom, it was a pretty quiet race for me really, but talk us through your quali first of all and how you felt going into the race.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
job.
some good fighting between you and Spectra early on in the race, and of course Bob before that little collision he made. But how were you feeling with the race pace when you were huddled together? Because you seemed to be fairly strong, holding on between everyone. I know you had wing damage, but did you feel you pretty confident in the car, or were you doubting? Okay, so possibly sort of helped you out a little bit there then. Well, congratulations on a brilliant third place, a great show from you. Look forward to seeing you next week. Is there anything on top of that you'd like to say to anyone?
How did you feel? Yeah, just a quick question. How did you feel towards the end of the race? Because Bob the Flop were catching you. Did you know that you had penalties? Yeah.
Well done, mate. Third place is still great result for you. So well done again. Move on to Cardinal.
What's up, bud?
You were my bet. You were my bet for the win, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Didn't quite go the way I wanted. Fourth place start. How are you feeling initially sitting on the grid before we race?
Well, yeah, I'm going to tell you, I had to rejoin every qualifying session. So I only got one lap in.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could have posted a 105 or been a little further up. But yeah, I tell you, I was frazzled by the time the race started. I'm going to be honest with you. Just trying to stay connected.
Okay. Yeah. No, I can imagine it could make things pretty difficult and annoying. Either
Yeah,
way,
I
though,
had-
second place.
Yes, yeah, I'm
Did
glad
you-
considering.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm going to say. Did you feel that you had the pace if you'd have managed to get qualifying sorted? Had you been in the right place at the right time at the beginning of the race, do you think you would have been challenging Jug?
I don't know. I know Jug has quick race pace. I don't. I guess what I'm going to guess here is at the end there. Did you spin out Jug or how did I catch up to you? Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So
lost in,
yeah, I think my race pace. I'm going to be honest. Race pace needs to improve if I'm going to catch Jug on the track. There's no doubt about that.
Fair enough, but again, a brilliant race from you. We did see some
Thank you.
great pace. Um, great strategy as well. You managed to get yourself up to second. A little bit of luck involved there, but again, brilliant race from
Yes,
you.
yes, there was.
See you next
Yep.
time. Hope to see you next
Thank you.
time on the podium as well. Jug, honestly, I'm getting a bit bored of you being on winning. So if you can kindly just not attend next time round, that'd be wonderful.
I try. I
How you
purposely
feeling
spun
with
out. You know, I purposely spun out to get make it interesting.
You're giving everyone an opportunity, weren't you? Yeah.
Make good TV.
So how are you feeling? I think that puts you 60, so almost 70 points. No, 60, 65 points ahead, I believe now, of Cardinal in the championship. Pretty dominant.
Yeah, I mean,
Druid was
yeah,
there.
I mean, yeah, he was. I don't know what
Druid
happened.
was
I saw a yellow flag behind me, and then he wasn't there anymore. So I take it he crashed out or something.
He went from flawless race to made one mistake and then just kept making mistakes. Unfortunately, it went from a dream race to a calamity race for Druid. But were you expecting a battle towards the end? If he was still there, were you struggling to sort of keep that gap at a second or so, or were you controlling the pace?
No, pretty much I was comfortable where I was. I knew he didn't even try to overtake me, so I found that very surprising. But at the end there on those softs, I was struggling really bad. My race pace started going to shit at the end. My rear tires, I think, were at 82% worn on the last lap there. I pretty much had no grip whatsoever. And then he ended up getting 3/10 behind me there.
Yeah, no,
So that was pretty much the issue. I would all week when I was practicing, I would try to get a pretty solid setup, but I was always having some rear tire wear issues. But I thought maybe if I was a little easier on the throttle, I'd be able to maintain it. But yeah, obviously not. Tires wore out real quick, and they pitted me super early. I don't know why. And fucking, I was like
I did
on.
notice you probably pitted earliest out of most people, even on the supers.
Yeah, I think he pitted. I think I pitted on 8, so the rest of the race I was on those softs. It was in the middle of that stint, I was feeling pretty strong. I had quite a lead there, but then towards the end of the stint, I was getting quite worried, especially when I lost it. Thank God I was able to get out on track and get the car moving.
Yeah, so I think I swapped to you to get an update on you just as you'd hit a barrier, and I was like, oh! Well, I don't know if you hit it, maybe you didn't quite, but you weren't on the track, and I was like, this could throw in a little bit of a exotic twist, but it didn't. You still won, and you were still dominant. So again,
Yeah.
great race from you. It's up to Cardinal really to beat you in the championship, but of course,
Yeah.
I'd say there's at least 3 or 4 drivers that if they're in the right place at the right time, they will have the pace to compete against you and to race you. So I wouldn't rest up too easy just yet. You are 60 so points ahead though. So again, brilliant race, great dominance from you. I'll pass you over to Solix if he's got anything to ask to the.
No, I mean, pretty dominant race from you. It was just a shame about Druid and Spectra. I think they could have probably took the fight to you a bit more. But other than that, yeah, pretty dominant race from you.
Yeah, it was quite nice to see that Druid fell back because it was putting a little bit of pressure on me, and it was like not really in the mood for the stress today.
Yeah, I think both Druid and Spectra had a bit of a torrid time in the middle part. But just how it
Yeah, that's
goes,
what
I
it
guess.
seemed like. It seemed like in the third sector and first sector he gained on me, but then in the middle sector he just would fall back. So
Yeah.
I just must have had a little quicker through there. That was the only thing that really saved me there.
Well, there you go. That's been your GP3 race. That has been your podium questions. Jugster, again, your winner. Cardinal second, and F1 Tom, a brilliant, surprising third. We'll see you next week for GP3. We'll see you tomorrow night for GP2. And we welcome you back anytime. Thank you.